Well, I mean, everybody that's in the industry, and of course, we're in the industry to make profits as well. But
Sure.
you, the amount of work that's involved in doing it, you have to have the amazing passion to be able to do it.
And an
At all
amazing team.
levels.
You have to have the right people.
At
Yeah.
every level of this, when you're doing what you do, it's every detail.
Every detail. I mean, and sometimes it's 25 hours a day
Absolutely.
to care
Mhm.
and to develop. And it's for every farm that is made in existence in the country on how they care for these animals and how they eat, sleep, and drink
Yeah.
them.
There's no days off when you have horses.
No days off. Welcome to Leading the Way, our podcast. Here we are at Keeneland Sales, Lexington, Kentucky. Biggest sale probably of the year. 4,000 or so yearlings to be potential racehorses, champions, and everything else that comes out of Keeneland. It's an amazing place to be. Randy Hartley, Derenzo, and we're here with Vice President of Sales, Tony Lacy. Well, Tone, I just, since we're talking to an audience that maybe outside of the industry, introduce yourself, how you've came into this industry from the start. And
I'm fourth generation horseman from Ireland.
Wow.
So, it's just in my blood. I trained I was been educated as an accountant and absolutely hated it. So going to college, doing all that was going back home, galloping every morning, going to school. And so I was riding as an amateur jockey. So I was a steeplechase rider for 11 years.
100 pounds ago?
A few cheeseburgers ago. So Aidan O'Brien was somebody I rode against.
Wow.
And I'm friends
really?
with him, so there's a whole generation of us that did that and then evolved into other aspects of the industry. Moved to France, little experience, thought that was be interesting. 30 something years later, and here I am. It's it's a long and crazy ride. It's a lot of it's an industry that brings you places that you never would even imagine. I never thought I would ever get to visit Keeneland, and let alone be running the sales division. It's fantastic. I think we're all coming from backgrounds of different experiences, and I think it's all those little bits and pieces that make it come together.
Well, I could tell you from Randy and I's point of view, we are very happy that you're in the position that you are, because
Awesome,
we can see changes that I'm not saying necessarily needed to be made, but were made through time. As time goes on, changes need to be made.
Change with the times.
Changing with the times. And you have brought forth big changes here that have
thank
made
you.
a lot of people in better positions and very happy.
Well, thanks, Dean. Thanks, Randy. And again, this is like anything. I was at this barn 18, a 4-star.
This was your
barn?
This
Yeah.
was it. This was right here. This is my spot.
Well, we're in the right spot then,
yeah,
aren't we?
yeah, I'm really comfortable here. So I did that with Kerry for 20 years, and it got to a point that you saw things that were evolving, how the industry was changing, the different people that are coming into it, the different dynamics. And again, you lean on your experiences from the past,
Right.
whether it's on the racetrack or in the sales or on traveling working in different parts of the world. So that, you start getting all these little bits of things, and your mind sort of understands what the Middle Eastern market
Right.
needs, because you work there. You
Right.
were with the European market from there and worked over there. So you understand the dynamics, because we're in a global marketplace. This is like a central hub. It's like the Wall Street for the financial industry.
Right.
So it's
Right.
so important that the sale like this is the largest sale in the world by quite a way.
In the world.
Oh yeah,
In the world.
for sure.
By quite a distance.
And the most beautiful too.
yeah, I
beautiful
wouldn't say. I'm not
place.
going
Oh,
to disagree with that.
There's
It's
not
not
a beautiful place. We pulled in this morning, and Dean's like, "Just look at this place." I mean,
We're
it's
very
awesome.
fortunate to
Yeah.
work here.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's one of those things. And what's really motivating is that I don't know if a lot of people know this, but the Keeneland's held in trust. So it's not owned by anybody.
Right.
It's owned by the industry.
Right.
It was set up by horsemen that if if anything happened to Keeneland and it went out of business in the morning, everything is sold and given to charity.
Really?
But in the meantime, and what we do on a daily basis, everything we earn, all our profits are invested right back into the industry, whether it's into the racetrack and purses, whether it's into welfare, backstretch workers, into research and development, philanthropic
That is
environment.
amazing. And that's
yeah.
exactly what we want to tell everybody, is that they don't know these things. And then we've seen that Keeneland Sales has now stepped out to even helping other racetracks in racing, in sponsoring different races. For Keeneland Sales has been sponsoring it, which is for the industry, for the whole industry.
Well, we're in a unique position, and we see ourselves as like a little bit of a test market for certain initiatives, ideas, because other racetracks are either dependent on making money for dividends or owned by a public company or trying to get by. They can't afford to make these investments to do, is this the right thing to do? In many cases, we can try it. We don't have to make a profit. You know, we can we can take risks that
and if it works,
great, and we can share that information. That it's really motivating, because this industry is so important to so many people, not just in this area, but around the country and around the world. You know, it's a fascinating dynamic. You can go to most countries around the world and find horse racing. I remember when I worked in Dubai, I was describing a problem with a Bedouin that had absolutely no English, and I had very little Arabic. And between this game of charades, we were explaining the issues of training horses. So it's that type of thing is really, really fascinating to me. You can go anywhere, and the healthier this industry is on a very local level, the better it is on a global level as well.
Well, I mean, everybody that's in the industry, and of course, we're in the industry to make profits as well. But
sure,
the amount of work that's involved in doing it, you have to have the amazing passion to be able to do it,
and an amazing team. You have to have the right people
at every level of this. When you're doing what you do, it's every detail.
Every detail. I mean, and sometimes it's 25 hours a day.
Absolutely.
To care and to develop. And it's for every farm that is made in existence in the country, on how they care for these animals and how they eat, sleep, and drink them.
There's no days off when you have horses.
No days off.
Well, and that's the thing, because I'm from a horse background, and we're a family. My brother's very involved. My dad, fortunately, is still alive and working hard at 88. It motivates him. If he retired, he wouldn't be around in the morning.
Right.
But you look around, and each of these stalls are filled with horses that have taken years of planning.
Yeah.
A lot of investment.
Yep.
A lot of sweat equity.
Yep. Owners have put up the money and time and trust in horsemen to do this, to hopefully have these champions show what they really are.
And you can't explain it to somebody who doesn't really understand it. What motivates somebody to buy a horse to run around in circles? You try.
Sounds a little funny that way.
Yeah. So it's when you look at it from from an accountant's perspective, it's always like, oh, here we go. We have to make. There is no way you can replicate the experience.
Right.
No, and it's the same way. Why does somebody want to throw a ball across a football field?
Yeah, sure.
And, why does Tom Brady, after 11 years being the greatest in the whole world, keep going? I mean, now he's retired, but
but I think
he loved it.
It loves it, but this sport is based on something very fundamental. Humans and horses have been interdependent for over 6,000 years. We've depended on each other for survival. They depended on us, and you've conquered. You developed the West.
They help, and they also help humans in a lot of ways. I mean, look at Cody's wish.
Oh, incredible!
It's probably given breath to that kid every day, waiting to see his horse, even if it's not his horse. But to him, it's his horse. And then you know what? That's that horse's kid.
And this is where
it's amazing.
And I think when we were growing up, and when society grew up in a rural society, they were around animals. They understood it. They understood the character, the dynamics of horses. And when you remove that, and people got sort of drifted away from that, and more of an urban environment, they don't understand it. It's when you get that human interaction with a horse, it's different. It's not like any other animal.
I mean, children see it. They look at these horses like, wow, and they can interact with them without even talking. And
I don't think there's any
it's-
child that doesn't like a horse.
And a horse
Well,
will never hurt a child.
No.
No. And as
so
Steve
different.
Alday was saying,
Yeah.
horses never say no.
Yeah,
You know, we have to be their spokesperson.
absolutely.
And he's so right about that. You know,
Absolutely.
And see, the trainers are out there training these athletes, and I'll call them athletes because that's really what they are.
Absolutely are.
Most of them, anyway. Let's put it that way. You know, there's horses that are just pleasure and so forth, but thoroughbreds are athletes, and we seem to breed them a little better and a little better. We try to breed for conformation. We try to breed for soundness. We try to breed for ability, making it better and better for the whole industry to keep this going.
It's
My
I think
hats off goes to these breeders.
No, yeah.
and they do it
You know?
for the vast majority do it for the right reasons, and they are
Yeah.
highly skilled highly skilled farmers, I would put it,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it is a farming activity.
It is a farming. It's definitely agricultural farming activity.
And it shows. I mean, you walk and look through book 1 and look at all the fantastic horses.
Well, and that's
I mean, it's an awesome book.
it's anybody who enjoys wine. A good person of good winery
Yeah.
knows how to raise good wine, knows they're in the right soil. They know how to look. It's patience, it's handling, it's care, and knowing when to do the right things. It's no different than what happens here. If you can breed a really nice or well-bred horse, but if you don't feed it properly, you don't take care of it, don't raise it right, you're not going to have the end product.
No, and the end product is having this special athletic animal that we all can enjoy, and the horse loves it. I'm going to tell you, a horse knows when they win. They get so proud, and it's the craziest thing when I could just stand back and watch them after they win and come in and win a circle, and they look around like I did it.
It is.
You know, and it's amazing. It sounds a little hokey, but it's true.
It is true. They've got the same personality as a human.
They do.
They know they get demoralized. You've got to keep their confidence up.
They get their feelings hurt.
You got to tell them you're the man. You know, it's
so important.
It's
so important. You know, it's part of a something we're doing called Making of a Champion, and all these little tiny things are what it's all about making a champion. You know, because as soon as you knock their minds out of it, you know, get them a little bit depressed, no matter how much ability they have, we don't have a champion anymore.
Well, and I've observed many times where you have a horse and you think this horse has got ability, and you know you really believe in it, but if you send it to a trainer that does not have belief in that individual, it's never going to
happen.
Doesn't happen. Or a groom.
A groom,
They live with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
They live in the barn with them. Those horses depend on those grooms for feeding them and loving them and caring for them, and the trainers and you know
horses feed them. They feed off of our emotions. You know, if something's going wrong in the barn or something's upset, the horses can immediately you can see that they can sense that something's not quite right, and that's why it's so important to have all the right help in the barn. That motivates the horses to try to be those champions. And me and Dean and I always say we treat every one of our horses like they're a champion.
Yeah.
And no matter if they cost $5,000 or $500,000, it's where we want to make champions out of every one of them.
No, and that's what's fantastic. It's you look at the winner of the hopeful, you look at the Archangel. It's like this is where dreams are made of.
Right. This is where dreams are made. I love it. Yeah,
and it's life changing. I don't think people realize, and I think it's when you stand back and you say, "Oh, it's just winning a race or whatever." These horses are life changing.
There's no greater high for an owner. It's like their children graduating from a graduate school, number one in law school or something. When they win those grade ones, and so I feel for the owners, which the owners back everything. They take
100%.
on the expense and the frustrations and the good with the bad all the time, and they stay with it. So it's a sport that has tremendous amount of passion,
and I think it's one that brings people together. In a way,
families,
friends. And I think that's where you got syndications now are becoming so popular because people are finding new friends,
right?
If you own 5% or 50% or 100%,
jump up
does not make any
1%.
Yeah, does not make any difference. My horse.
Yeah.
You know, we see it right at home here. You know, our friend and partner Rich Mendez, and we all go to the Derby, and grandkids are there. The kids, the children are there, and everybody's having an amazing time and just making memories.
Yeah,
making memories,
and those memories last forever. You look at our current, the current middle and older age fans that we've gotten. They went to the racetrack with their parents or their grandparents. Yep. They got a feel for it. They understood it. They love it.
Yeah,
we're very adamant here at Keeneland that we've got a thing called the Kids Club.
Yeah.
And so we've got over 10,000 members on that. Oh, really? It's kids that sign up. They get they get notifications. Yeah. They get what activities that are going on during the summer. We have the open days where we got activities for the kids. Nice. During the race meet on Saturday mornings, we'll have 1,800, 2,000 people here for training.
Oh, I know.
Mainly kids.
We've been here and seeing it.
Mainly kids, and that's where you allow people to appreciate it and come here. It's a sport. You can take part in this as a fan, as a gambler if that's your flavor.
What you like to do, right?
But ownership is something I think is probably a little. We need to, as the industry, we need to open up, welcome people into the game far more often, show them behind the scenes. We've actually got tours here over the next few days.
We've seen them coming.
There was a whole group here just a bit ago when we were doing the last podcast, and listening and watching, and and they're in awe sometimes because they have no idea what this is all about.
And this is actually, even in the Lexington area, where this is for people around the world and involved in the industry, this is a major focus. We've got a lot of people downtown that have no clue what goes on here.
Really?
That's something we're trying to change. We're trying to explain the importance, but also the fact that this is, in many cases, they feel like, well, this is a bunch of rich people playing, and that's cannot relate. Well, in actual fact, most of the people here are mom and pop operations. They're farms that are in our generation, and they're looking at their kids that they want to be able to hand this business over to them
because they're proud of it.
They're really proud of it, and that's what is one of the key motivators for us internally. We want to make sure that that those parents, as they're working hard to build something, that they proudly can hand it over, knowing that there is a future for their kids.
Yeah. They're the future.
They're the future, and that we're the guardians. We've got to protect that for them.
And and that is amazing right there. But just think about how many jobs this industry employs, and how many families it feeds, and then when they buy their groceries, how many grocery stores depend on them, and so forth and so forth. I mean, it's a big spoke in the wheel.
Massive, and we even. Like one of the biggest motivators, just to get, as you were looking at your phone earlier, is my fence guy.
Yeah.
Like those fence guys are generally guys that are hardworking. That's hard work.
He's and they're dirty right now.
Yeah. And so they earn a decent living out of building a lot of fence for a lot of farms.
Yep.
And whether it's in a rural area or whatever, that generates a ton of economy or a ton of economic activity in the area, and employs people that probably wouldn't have the opportunity to get employed in something else.
Right. And so, so besides having all the passion in the industry, and we have the horsemen, and we have owners that may not even be horsemen, but, love it as a sport, we have the workers, the team that makes everything go round. Randy and I always say, we're nothing without a team. Our team makes it happen. I mean, we
couldn't do it without them.
Knock wood.
Well,
really.
We're over here for how long?
21 years.
And if you had to clean a stall, you did. Or lead a horse, you did.
That was got to be done.
Yeah.
You don't. It's even internally. I've told I don't care what anybody's title is. It doesn't make any difference.
Right.
We're all shoulder to the wheel. We've got each other's backs. We'll solve each other's problems. There's no finger pointing, and that's what generates that type of camaraderie. And again, it's the same thing. I think you look around, there's a lot of, every consignor, every breeder may see each other as a little bit of a competitor or
probably. But I can tell you, when one goes down, everybody comes for them.
They rally.
It's a family.
It's a massive
Yeah.
safety net.
Yeah.
And that's something I think we're all very proud of, the community that we've built and it's not just domestic, it's globally. You'll see things that happen to somebody that may not be necessarily related, and money or support rolls in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, he was a jockey in Ireland, and we're very close. He was like my little brother, and he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. The amount of outreach
People
that he's received from everywhere was humbling. I mean, from world leaders down to people wanting to give him $5 to try and help the cancer research project he was trying to start. Massive.
Well, I mean, it is everywhere because, I went through a little bout of health issues, and I got a call from, I'll say, Paul Shanahan.
Yeah.
And he said to me, we'll pick you up. We'll put you on a jet. We'll take you here. We got the best doctors. We got the best hospitals. We'll take care of everything for you if you need. Right off the bat. I mean, when he found out that I was going through a little issue there, and I had it handled, which thank God. But I was like, really?
Yeah.
You realize that's real, and that's
huge,
genuine.
That's genuine.
He was,
I mean,
and
did not have to call me.
He was calling because he really wanted to do it.
And
he really wanted to help.
And that's when you start to realize, when that network engages, you realize, wow.
George Strawbridge, same.
George Strawbridge gave my sister a year of an amazing life with his connections.
Yeah.
Called me and asked me, did she want to live? And I said, yes. We got a bed for her. And got a bed for her in a hospital that we couldn't get to.
And there's no agenda.
No agenda. Didn't even want to thank you.
Yeah.
Just wanted to do it. I love that. These are all the parts of the industry that I want everybody to know about. You know, and what Keeneland's doing to keep expanding these, for lack of a better word, I'll say horizons for people. Like what you just said there with the children, and helping out the purse structures and for other racetracks. And really, at the end of the day, it's all for the horsemen.
It's for the horsemen.
For the horsemen. It comes down to the whole industry. It helps the industry. And Keeneland's success has been incredible. I don't even know how to talk about the success.
Where do you start?
Yeah, I mean,
well,
and why? Why is Keeneland here? Why is it above?
It's interesting. Its origins were based in the Depression in the 1930s.
Yeah.
Because the racetrack in downtown Lexington closed, and it had fallen into disrepair. So, you're in a depressive time.
Right.
You've got a lot of people, horsemen in the area, that saw this as an opportunity, that we need to help the community. It's depression. How do we pull together to make something that is going to not only benefit the community but the industry, that can be that can flourish. And we read the prospectus even to this day to give us direction.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Yeah, that's good.
But it came from a time of real trouble,
right?
Economically, and out of those struggles grew something that actually supports many things. It was one of the first. It was one of the first founders of one of the local hospitals. Bought some of the first machine, the health machine, medical machines that allowed them to get going. So it's these type, and that's the type of endeavors we keep going with. And again, whether it's for a local community, for the industry, and we all do it for each other. But again, that's the fabric of what this is, what this is made from.
Well, it's for, again, a lack of a better word, I say it's incredible. It's incredible what Keeneland has done for the whole industry, and what, given an opportunity to be able to sell horses in a facility like this, and to present them, and Keeneland to make it work by bringing in buyers from all over the world, accommodating them for us to make a presentation, or consigners. We happen not to be a consigner here for yearling sales, but I say us because we're part of the industry. So We'll call it us.
Yeah, we're all interdependent. It's a very fickle ecosystem that we all live in because we all need each other to be healthy.
Yep.
We all need each other to be active and flourish, and we also need to protect the well-being of the animals that make it all possible, that bring us all together.
Number one, and I said this same statement to Steve all day. It's called care, custody, and control, and care is always first.
Absolutely.
And that's that's how I like to see it.
Yeah.
All the time. It's care first, and then of course this has been a billion-dollar industry, or multi-billion-dollar industry, not even a million. So, I mean, that is a big spoke of the world.
Well, it's actually one of the silent massive agricultural engines globally, because we will have people from anywhere from 30 to 50 countries over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money come from a lot of different parts of the world.
Yeah, bringing right here to the United States.
So we filter it through the system and then disperse it back out into the ecosystem.
Yeah,
and that generates that's a huge heartbeat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
but it is when you look, and then from this it rolls over the Goths in Ireland, then it rolls over the Tattersalls, then it rolls over to France. Then so it's a much bigger activity than I think most people
don't realize.
Absolutely,
they don't realize
idea.
It.
No idea.
And not just the sales. We got the racing. So we talk about care. We got a racetrack here that may be not a better racetrack in the country.
Yeah.
And why? Because
you care.
Because it's
you
run
guys
by horsemen.
care and you want your track.
It's run by horsemen.
Yep.
And that track is one of the most important things. I mean, Randy and I, our track is so important to us. You could train at any barn you want,
absolutely,
out of the field if you want, but you better have a good surface for them to go over. These are big animals with lots of concussion. So we take care of our racetrack. So I was up there just kind of walking around, and I saw a sign, and it showed how the racetrack is made.
Yeah, we were seeing the.
Yeah,
I took pictures of it because I was impressed that it's made with logic. It's not just a up potato field, so to speak. And you put money into it, and money into it to make it that way and to keep it that way. And we will have so much less injuries if everybody would do that.
And that's over time, and that's where we made mistakes.
Oh,
I know that the track was not good at certain times.
You had the synthetic track for a
while,
track
and the prior track was not very good.
Right.
So it's everything evolves, and I think we learn from a lot of the changes, and from the synthetic surface which was put in initially. Those surfaces are always a dynamic surface. They were designed in Europe
for the rain,
for rain and a damp climate, for frost, and so as these surfaces evolve, they've improved, but they're still a work in progress. And I think there is absolutely there's a place. They're a great surface. Again, with dirt surfaces, they're a dynamic in themselves, and every racetrack has something different. That's when we change back to the dirt surface. We were fortunate in building the synthetic. We built a base that has the drainage that really allows it to. It's the foundation that allows you to build on the proper surface on top.
So when you do have that pour down rain,
it drains. And so you don't have
fluff it, get it ready again, and make a good surface for these horses to go over. And there's no two ways about it. You'll have less injuries. Look, there's always going to be an injury of some sort. You take a bad step. Look, there's injuries in every athletic industry. There, NBA and NFL and so forth on there. But when we talk with Steve as a care veterinarian, that he's a lameness vet on how he looks at things before it happens, before anything major goes on. And kudos to him for developing lubricant and things like that.
Sure.
That's what we all should always kind of keep in mind, that it's all about the horse. It's all about the horse.
We've got to look. I think we've got to be careful that we keep that to absolute to the fore.
Right.
Because these are, as you say, they're athletes. They're training every day. They'll have a little niggling problems, and sometimes they need breaks.
Mm-hmm.
That's right.
You know, and if
time heals a lot.
Yep.
And if there's one thing I think from my experience coming from Europe and different parts of the world, I wouldn't be. I've sort of put it out there. It wouldn't be a bad thing for certain horses to get breaks. It's a sort of mandated break once in a while,
right?
That they're allowed to just give them a chance to recover. And
but I'd have to think we have been evolving in horsemen too. I think they get better and better at what they do, and get to see things a little bit more. And our trainers say, "All right, you know, this horse has done a lot for us. You know, we're going to wait until 4 months from now. We're going to look at this race. And in the interim, we're going to go easy. We're going to give him his break, and then we're going to have him developed right for that race.
Yeah.
Instead of opening a condition book and saying, okay, there's this one, we'll just pick one.
Yeah. And I think that's where the horsemanship aspect comes into it.
And it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot. And it's changing and changing and changing, getting better. I mean, I guess there's always somebody out there that maybe doesn't do it quite as good, but usually they'll fall by the wayside on their own.
It's a lot better than it was.
Yeah. It is a lot better than it was.
And, you know, I think that's one thing we are starting to appreciate good horsemanship more. We're starting to see it, you know, as a skill that is celebrated.
Yeah.
You know, you look at the top trainers in the country, and they're all really good horsemen.
They're amazing.
Horsemen and women, I should say. But it's a
well, we nickname it horsemen.
Yeah, but
it's
definitely
women and men, and they're all important.
Yeah, just like this year with Jenna.
Oh, Jenna, it's fantastic.
It's good for the game. You know,
horse that came right from here.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
Fit somebody's bill just perfectly in price range, and changed their life forever.
And hers.
Yeah,
it's something that
and the groom and everybody else who was involved in the whole network of people that was involved.
Yeah, we've known Jenna for, you know, we trained for her grandparents.
Yeah.
Is that right? I didn't know that.
Yeah. We sure did.
Raymond, Winnick, and Barbara. The Windbound Farm. Yeah. We trained for them for a long time.
Yeah. I think, and what was, you know what, I think it was the NBC Sunday Morning, the Today Show or something, that was on the photo of the week was Jenna holding the Belmont Trophy up.
That
I texted her and sent her the photo.
And the Belmont had to be awesome for her, you know, because her dad was a big New York. That's where her granddad. That's where he raised. Yeah. We sold him their first Grade 1 winner. Her grandparents. Her name was True Affair.
And see, this is the thing. We're all interconnected. You know, it's like, and that's why we were chatting a while ago. Then we come from very, very different backgrounds,
but all together, like you said, fabric
doesn't take
all weave together, and our background is just horses to start,
riding horses,
riding horses, and we developed it into a business for us, and we used our passion to build our business, and you know, we've been blessed to have as many graded stakes winners and champions that we've had, but it took a lot of time.
And it's not, and that's not by accident. It's many years of careful, diligent horsemanship,
working hard,
focusing on the details, looking after your horses, and passing on a product that is going to work for the next owner. So,
what do you think? What would Keeneland's future changes be for the industry? You know, you and your team have made wonderful steps. So I don't know, an idea. You don't have to give us anything, but you know, remember, everybody's listening and watching this don't know anything about it. You know,
I think the industry over
what's your target?
I think the industry over the last number of years has been really not doing a good job to reach out and educate people on a more broad scale about the facts of how good this sport is and the wonderful things that happen.
That's why we're here today.
Because I really believe in what we've done. That's just one part of. If you can show somebody the mornings, the backstretch, the afternoons sell themselves.
Oh yeah.
That's just the gravy.
The easy part. Yeah.
If you can go out and just enjoy having a cup of coffee, walking around the barns, chatting to the people that are involved. You watch. I'm always fascinated at sports people. Whether it's athletes or coaches, and as I'm sitting across from
the coach,
the
legend of the coach,
they get it.
Yes,
they get
and whatever it is, They get it.
They get it.
Yeah.
And so when you allow people, I went to a NASCAR race once. Friends of ours were very involved, and I was just like, "You're doing the exact same thing we do."
Yeah.
It's the competitive, it's the team, it's the involved. So what we're trying to do is sort of open up that, show people what it is, and also create a better customer service. Be more welcoming.
Right.
The one thing we want to do, it's not about an us and them. We can't afford, can't afford this. Open it up.
Yeah.
Keeneland is different things to everybody. There's the beer and somebody who enjoys sitting down having a beer and a hot dog on a bench. And there's somebody else who wants to go up and have a champagne, a steak, and dress up.
Right.
And there's multitudes, and the youth, introducing the youth of this area and around. Just open it up, visiting people in their areas, inviting them here.
Well, one thing about Keeneland is how these spectators can walk through
and just see everything,
get a feel.
This is the barn area for the racetrack as well.
And that's maybe the only one in the country, isn't it?
It is the only one in the country,
that can do that, and they love it. They park on the grass
for the April meet. It's
walk
just
through here,
it's a festival.
It's a festival.
Yeah,
well, we get the amount of college kids that come here.
Oh yeah.
And the offices close for a day. All the employees go racing. There's never a question. I'm going racing today. It's not they celebrate that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a community thing. Getting the community involved is vital, and allowing them to be a part of what we do, be proud of what we do, and that's one thing we're very, very focused on is the outreach. And focusing on the details and welfare. We've got Dr. Stuart Brown, who's the vice president of safety, and so his entire focus is on the health, welfare, and care of the horses on the backstretch and everything we've got to do, whether it's in the sales, racing, the backstretch,
or if it's the pony horse.
The pony horse,
right.
It gets the same attention as anybody else, and just allowing us to be able to be representative of what's good in the industry and really emphasizing that.
As we come to a close for the podcast, tell us what your expectations of this sale look like.
I'm almost
2023.
2023. I'm always a realist because nothing happens until it happens.
Right.
But
you're an accountant.
No, well, I didn't finish that one. I was smart enough to get out of that. I wouldn't have got very far with that. But what I would say is that I think we've put a lot of effort into bringing traveling the world over the last year, encouraging people to come back. I think we've in the downturn in 08 and 09, everybody went into their silos. They've became very regional, whether in the US or globally. Nobody traveled, nobody cross-pollinated at all.
Right.
And now we've got large groups of Japanese here this week.
Really? So this means you're going to make it really hard for Randy and I to buy horses.
That's the plan.
So.
I'm going to be really sympathetic for you when you're sitting in book 3. Haven't bought a horse yet. So it's, but no, I think it's. I think we're in a positive environment, and I think it's very well. The great buzz around the grounds. I think the energy is really high, and.
Well, I'm going to say
you guys have done a great job.
Thank you.
And,
with us looking at first book 1 and 2, and we have never, in the 32 years in business, have vetted 45 horses, over 10% of the whole first book of day 1 and day 2 of book 1.
Well, I'm waiting.
I mean, those are good horses.
And that's exactly what we were trying to achieve.
You're doing it.
Enough quality in front of the people that expect to see it there. Because anybody who's coming here to afford us their time to spend it here, they want to see the product that they expect, and it's our job to do that as a sale company. So,
you're making it hard.
You guys have done a good job.
Well, thank you. And listen, it's a work in
Y'all
progress.
came to Ocala this year.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, exactly.
I told Tony that meant a lot to us.
It did.
Yeah,
No, but
it really was.
You guys
it was a big step, and it really meant a lot to us. It made us feel like we've achieved enough respect.
You'll see plenty more of us. I've lived down there. I've worked down there. A lot of us have done that.
But we go back a long way. It's
We all
probably
do, yeah.
25 years.
Oh, easily 30.
Easily, maybe
Yeah.
30 years. Well, I'm only 35, so I can say that. But anyway, we're gonna roll with what we just talked at. Tony Lacy, Vice President of Keeneland Sales. Very nice position. Really proud of you for doing what you do.
Thanks, Dana.
You know, as a friend and a competitor, and on that. So Randy and I are going to wrap this podcast up. If you like what you're listening to, come and look us up on Leading the Way podcast. Hartley Derenzo.